Alright, it's time for the April garden tour. There is an absurd amount of things going on, so I will get started and we'll see how long this video is. So we'll start right here in the garden and I'll show you my improvements to my seed starting. I am super excited about this. I'm going to be starting a whole bunch of stuff very soon, lots of experimentation, but the main MVPs are these new seed trays. They have these slots in the side which help aerate the roots and keep them from spiraling around these trays. And then, so that makes a healthier root structure. And then these little thumb holes, you can pop them out very simply. And I also have these standard 1020 trays to put all these little guys into. I love these because they are all basically indestructible. You could stand on them. They were expensive, but I only have to buy this stuff once, and it's going to last me forever. Now that I have a standardized system with all these little features, it'll help make up for some of the mistakes that I make myself, and I will have healthier seedlings as well. Yeah, I am very excited to start seeds. So I will show you what's going on in the garden next. So we got more stuff flowering from before. The cuttings of my figs have started to leaf. This one sprouted a leaf from the bottom, but it fell off. But we're going to have more leafing. And then I got some of these trays out here already. And some of my experimentation that I'm doing is I've planted mangoes from the store. And they haven't sprouted yet, but they're going to be sprouting soon. And these guys are the heirloom tomatoes that I potted up, and they will be sizable enough to go into the ground or into the raised beds soon enough. Here I have the dragon fruit that I'm growing from seed. You can see the little spines on it. These are from some yellow dragon fruits. And I just did a video about this, but I'll show it off here too. The sugar cane is actually growing finally. This is just a stalk of sugar cane from the grocery store, and you can see a little nub growing out from the side. It's got like 3 or 4 around this. So this is going to be a very fun experiment to see. It's going to have stalks coming out from all sides, so we'll see how I manage that. But that is really cool that it's actually working. And we got some new leaves on the coffee plant. And then the plumeria is waking up. It's got some leaves on it. I finally plucked the seeds off of our ginger here and just scattered them in this bed. Or not bed, it's just a pot. But they're all sprouting up. And usually you plant ginger from the rhizome, and you can see one that's right here. But I wanted to experiment with the seeds so you can see some that are still on top of the soil, because I just scattered them just to see what would happen. And clearly some of them have taken. So we got them coming up here. So that's really interesting. I might have to give this a bigger home. I had it in a bigger pot at some point and then potted it down. But if we're going to get some mad amounts of ginger, then I might have to pot it up again. So this one is a taro, and I had planted a cut taro much earlier on, and it just started decomposing in the soil. But we had smaller taro roots. I think what went wrong is that it didn't have like the skin on the outside of it, the cut one, and that's why it started decomposing. But the ones that were whole roots with the skin on them outside, skin still on them, they began to sprout on the counter, or in the pantry, I should say. And so they definitely, I guarantee, will sprout in the soil since they were already beginning to sprout in the pantry. So I planted more of those. So we're going to have some taro pretty soon. And the horseradish, I probably should dig it up and see what's going on, but it has gone gangbusters. And some of the leaves have died back. I haven't researched horseradish heavily, so I don't know if that means that it's like it's ready or what it is. But there is definitely a huge amount of horseradish in this bucket. And then over here, my tea plants are doing just fine. We have some new big leaf growth that I'm happy to see. There is a little bit of burning on here, which I was noticing earlier. I think perhaps I fertilized them too much, but they're putting on new leaves still, so they're gonna recover from that. They are a stronger plant than I initially thought they were. I was really babying these when I first got them because I just didn't know what to do with them, and they were difficult to find locally, so I didn't want to immediately kill them when I got them home. But now that I've learned more about them, I'm more confident that they can kind of handle themselves on their own. Right here, the raspberries are finally starting to leaf on the canes. I was very impatient, but they're finally doing stuff. So we're going to have, I think, a lot of raspberries. And then right next to them, I have the white mulberry cuttings that I had planted. And, oh, you can actually see right there. It looks like it's putting off a leaf. It's the first I've seen that. So a few months ago, these little buds started to open, and then a snail came through and like chewed them all up. But you know, the roots are already established, so it's going to bounce back from that anyway. And you can see some fresh buds getting ready to open on the tips here. So that'll be really cool. And I have 3 varieties of mulberry, including this one. I have a Pakistan. The other one is escaping me. But this is the white mulberry that I found from a tree locally and just planted from cuttings. And then I got a boysenberry, which is looking incredibly healthy. I found this at a local nursery. So now we have 3 types of brambles: the raspberry, this boysenberry, and the blackberry over here. So we have a little bit of diversity in that regard. You can see the blackberry canes are starting to sprout up, and I haven't even noticed that yet. These are looking very green and very healthy. I recently moved around all of these plants because they used to be on the other side over there. But I've determined that this spot underneath the awning later in the day gets like some of the best sun in this backyard. So I've moved all the brambles here, as well as all the strawberries, for that strategic sun. And since that brings me to the strawberries, I can give you a little strawberry update. So I have been gradually getting better at growing strawberries. These are looking extremely healthy, and I think we're going to start seeing some fruit production. They got all the flowers. The ones over there, this one in particular, is sending off tons of fruit. We did try one of these, and it tasted very bland, kind of all water. I have ordered a strawberry fertilizer, berry fertilizer, just kind of a general thing. I am hoping that it's going to improve the flavor. I'm not sure if this variety, this one is a quinault. I don't imagine that it's supposed to taste watery. So we'll see if the flavor improves with the addition of a fertilizer. But I think, let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 varieties of strawberries now. Just to kind of experiment and see which ones grow best in my yard. I also got this one, which I have heard of before, but was surprised to find it at a local nursery. This is a white variety of strawberries. It's called an heirloom pineberry. According to this tag, they were recovered from extinction at some point. So I saw this and was like, yeah, let's do it. Another variety of strawberries. It had some berries on it when we got it, so we were able to try them. They were very soft, and it was a good taste, but it was a light strawberry taste. But that'll be an interesting thing to keep here, and I'm hoping that I can keep it alive. If it says that it was recovered from extinction, I don't know if that translates to it's difficult to grow. But they're strawberries, so strawberries are a little bit weedy. So I'm hoping that it's not that difficult to grow. This one is looking very healthy. Look at these big leaves. And like I said, I've been iterating on improvements to my strawberry growing technique, so to speak. From what I've learned, strawberries tend to do so the low maintenance way of growing strawberries is a hanging setup, like a hanging basket or trellis. I don't necessarily have a good setup or space for that, so I have been trying to make it work with these pots, and I think it's going to be working. I have these little kind of scaffolding for strawberries that I got, and I wasn't too sure about them when I saw them, but I figured I would try them, and I think they are going to be working excellently. It's just a way of keeping the strawberries and the leaves off the soil so that they remain healthy and not exposed to bacteria, disease, slugs, etc. And you can see it in action right here. I'm being interrupted by a bird. It was up there. It's gone now. Anyway, I have the blueberries right here. All the berries are positioned together, and you can see them coming in. There's a whole bushel of them. super excited to have blueberries. I might, maybe not soon, but I might get like other varieties as well. And from what I've heard recently is they might fall prey to birds. I might just come out here when they're ripe and just they're all gone or something. So I might have to put a net over this. We shall see. And then right over here is the Goji Berry. And it hasn't started putting out anything yet. It's still kind of in a growing phase. If I remember correctly, this has a very short season. Like a month or so from what I researched. So I hope that we're gonna see some this year. Yeah. And then right next to it is the Gooseberry, which I'm also very excited about because we got to try some recently. And it's funny that I keep buying things that I haven't tried, but I always have a sense that I'm gonna like something that I've bought. And it turns out I was right. When we tried some gooseberries, they were really, really interesting, and it's a very new experience that I haven't had before. There's not a good analog that I can describe it with. We did a video on it. If you're interested in what we thought of it, you should check that one out. But it's kind of its own thing. It's not very similar to anything. It was very good, though, I should say. So I am looking forward to having these in the garden as well. From what I was told from the nursery is they grow in like kind of tall stalks, I guess. Like this one. And he said you can train them and keep them whatever size you'd like. So we'll see what I decide to do. I'll probably have to rehome them from this bucket as they get larger. Oh yeah, I can show you. I'm not getting very far. There's so much here. The apple, the Granny Smith apple, has put on more growth. And it had some flowers and they've died back. I'm not sure if that means that the flowers ran their course and they're just done, or if the plant was stressed so it dropped its flowers. I am currently unsure. We'll see. And then next to it is the peach, which hasn't broken its dormancy yet. I am probably going to clip off some of this stuff because I'm realizing that it has way too much, way too many branches, and they're not necessarily ideal for the growth and longevity of this plant and kind of the style of tree that I want to grow. So it has kind of 3 separate large branches here. And why that's problematic is I would like 1 central main leader, and I technically have 3 right now because this left one is taller. It's, in a sense, trying to become the new leader of the tree, and I do not want that. So I'm going to be clipping these 2 larger sides off sometime soon. I am thinking I'm going to use this as an opportunity to try out air layering, which is just you peel back the cambium layer of the branch and then line it with soil and encourage root growth from that into that soil ball. And then once it's got roots sprouted, you will just clip this off, and you will have a perfect clone of the tree. So I am interested to try that. Right down here, I have the peanuts. I've finally started sprouting, which is fun. I'll have to dig them up and see how much we actually ended up getting. And then next to it, you might recall I have a variegated banana variety. And I was worried that it was just going to die off in the winter because bananas prefer warmer climates. And this one is a Sumatra X-Cross. Yeah, you get the idea. But it's been waking up with the warmer weather and is putting on new leaves, so I think we're going to be okay. And then over here is our little potato row. All these buckets with all these leaves, these are the potatoes. And they have kind of been going crazy. And when these leaves die back, they'll be ready to harvest. And some, like this one, they're only growing from one side, so that kind of indicates to me that because all of these I planted like around the bucket, so it seems that they either just grew to one side or some of them only a few grew, is what I mean. But we'll still have potatoes. Some of them did not sprout. That's because these ones were potatoes that I had replanted from the last crop, and this one was a more run and gun experiment. I wasn't necessarily doing it the right way. I was just planting them and seeing what happened, and so far they have not done anything. But the ones that I allowed to sprout on the counter, they're actually doing well. That brings me to the dragon fruit. They are really enjoying the warm weather now. They are starting to continue growing because I planted most of these in these grow bags in the fall and even the winter, I think one or two of them. But they're all waking up and continuing to grow upwards. The ones over here are doing the most. This one was my original, and you can see it's got some growth coming out the top. I was hoping that this little nub would be the new leader, but it looks like one of these two is going to be the new one. And you can actually come along and take off these little growths to help it focus its energy to where you want it to go. So if I wanted to be extreme, I could take off these two and then insist on growing out this little nub, but I am not comfortable doing that, so I am kind of relying on one of these two to be the new leader to get us to the top of the trellis, so to speak. And then this one on the other side is like a really tall segment, so that's really interesting because some of the other ones kind of make new segments. And this one's got a little guy coming up here. In this one has 3 different cuttings that I've planted, and I don't think they've all rooted yet or haven't rooted much. So you can kind of see it wobble in the soil. I'll know when they have rooted, because I think they'll start sprouting from the tops. Hopefully from the tops. Hopefully it's not like that other one where they're growing like from the middle. So our brassicas are all flowering. I think I've shown this before. And we're going to have tons of seeds to replant. I'm sure they're going to be dropping them on the soil as well, and they'll just reseed themselves. And then kind of the same deal with these onions. They've opened up and they're doing their seeding thing. And then over here we have the Brussels sprouts are doing some things down here. I don't know if they're going to get that big. I've never grown Brussels sprouts before, so this is a new experiment for me. And then behind me, the avocados are looking very healthy. They have totally reversed course from being drab looking for the duration of the winter. And I every time we bring an avocado home, I plant the pit, and we have a bunch of little sprouts coming up, and you can see one right over there. So I'm gonna have, at the very least, some good rootstock for grafting, or I'll just leave them as their own new tree. And then this one was the first one that I had planted. This one is the Haas. The other one is the Zutano. We have all sorts of snap peas growing on our arch here. It's really kind of cool to finally see something growing over this arch, because I built it months ago. And we finally got something growing on here. And then this one is just going nuts. And it's crazy because they have such a small like base to it. Like, look at this. So all this spanning out from here, and it's got this kind of thick pencil like trunk, I guess, and then it starts to get thinner and thinner until you get to the bottom. And this little spindly thing has to deliver water to all of that up there. So I am curious how long it's going to be able to keep that up before it dies. I have been trying to water it pretty well, but I don't know how long. I can't imagine this lasts through the summer. It's going to be drying out, I'm sure. But we'll see. We're really enjoying having it right now. We just pull these off and eat them straight. They've been really good to have. And we got all sorts of them right here. Down here I got my little cactus collection. I did bring home more because I couldn't resist. They were very adorable collection. I think I referenced this in another video, but some of them actually died off from overwatering, and I think maybe too much shade. It's why I moved them over here. But you can see on these Opuntia varieties. We have some new growth coming in right down here. It's more obvious right here. That's pretty cool. And this one, these are Cactus Pads that I got from a nursery. And it came with this fruit, and it still has this fruit on it. I haven't picked it just so I can better differentiate these two, because this was a yellow, he told me, and this was a red, and it's been helping me differentiate the two long term. And I've been kind of interested at seeing how long they hold on to their fruit before they drop them. And then these other two I got from a friend at work. Or rather, three actually. And then over here, we have, I think this is the zucchini. The sign fell over. Yeah, this is zucchini that I bought from work. And so this spot, this bed, used to have all the strawberries in it. We pulled them all out. And I just noticed this yesterday. There's another one popping up in here. Because they grow like weeds, you can often find strawberries regrowing themselves from areas where the strawberries used to be, because good luck getting all the roots out of there. And so I'm thinking I'm going to leave it, and we'll see how it does. Because I've just been trying to tend to them as best I can, but I would like to kind of see how some of them do growing wild on their own. And I'm going to be sowing new seeds in this bed. I just did some pumpkin over on this side earlier today, because I want to really get pumpkins this year. Last year, I was growing Big Mac pumpkins, and we just got to the flowering stage. They never really produced anything, unfortunately, and the small one that they did put on the vine got eaten by a slug, and so I was really disappointed about that. So I'm gonna have to do better with growing pumpkins and the related squash varieties this year. And then down here, I have done a video about my mints, but they're kind of going through some phases right now. I'm going to move them over into the shade since I'm talking about this. I ordered some grow bags for them, and what I'm going to do is, because they're all, I've had some of these for so long, and they do grow back like a weed because their roots are so aggressive. But some of them have been dying back since spring started, and I want to keep them alive, you know? I want to enjoy them. So I'm got some grow bags that I ordered. I'm going to put them all in kind of a standardized size pot, and it'll make it a bit easier to tend to them, because some of them are in small pots, some of them are in big pots, some of them are in terracotta pots, and it's just making it a little inconsistent for growing these. So yeah, hopefully I'll have a mint update next time with them doing pretty well. Oh, I should show. So this one is this was a celebrity tomato, and this was the mother plant for all of our celebrity tomatoes that we had growing in the garden. And it's funny because we overwintered this one for like a year. Or I'm sorry, we had this plant for like 2 years. It survived I think 2 winters, and this finally, after this winter, it started to die back. So I guess technically it didn't survive this winter, but we had it for almost 2 years, and like you don't really usually do that with tomatoes, but this one was doing so well for so long that I just decided to keep it and see how long it would last. And I don't know if it's still alive. I'm guessing that it's not, but it had a real good run. And it produced lots of tomatoes, and we took cuttings from it and grew additional plants. So it had a good run. That brings me to my little orchard here. Let's see. We got the pecan, the cherry moya, and a lot of these I just recently pre-potted, so they're probably going to start going nuts. Here is the Pakistan mulberry that I talked about earlier. Here's the other mulberry that the name is escaping me. Oh, it's a Persian mulberry, that's what it is. We got our curry, our bay laurel, or bay leaf, the lemons, the limes, the carob has some really healthy looking leaf growth here. Our loquat has some really nice looking leaves. They're very furry looking. And the almond, I need to trim some of these offshoots, because again, I want to maintain a healthy leader on the plant. But you might remember what this looked like from a few garden tours back. It was just a twig in one of them, but now it's put off all these leaves and is just going crazy. It's probably going to be like twice this height next month or something like that. But all the little trees are doing well. The acerola cherry's been kind of the same size, but I think it's going to be shooting up pretty soon. Well, I should talk about my roses. So, I've touched on the roses a few times before in the story behind these. I recently repotted these, and they have taken such a dramatic improvement. It's really amazing, because they were pretty sickly and sorry looking. They had some diseased looking leaves, and I finally got around to repotting them, and now look at them. They just dropped all their sickly looking leaves, and now they are just exploding with new healthy leaf growth. It's kind of amazing. I'm thinking we're going to be seeing some blooms probably, or some buds pretty soon here. And I think they're going to remain healthy long term, because I put them in this grow bag, which is going to maintain that healthy root system because of the air pruning around the sides. It's going to prevent them from circling around and just maintain a healthy root system. So yeah, I think that's most of what's going on out here right now. I probably totally skirted over something. I didn't talk about the pepper bed, but there's not too much change over there. They're starting to wake up, but not too much change. Same with the tomato bed here. I'll be putting out those heirloom tomatoes soon. But yeah, lots of little things going on. It's turning into quite the oasis out here. And it'll be only more so when all these berries start blooming, or sorry, when they all have berries, I should say. But yeah, that's a garden tour. I'll see you next time. I realized I didn't talk about what I got going on inside. So, right inside, we have a new cute shelf that a friend gave us, and it's allowing me to be a bit more organized with our indoor plants, and also start an indoor herb garden. I've got some cilantro here and some basil, and I'm hoping that'll we'll have more consistent herbs through the summer, because the cilantro, despite being used in a lot of summer dishes, is not necessarily a summer crop. It bolts to seed when it gets warmer. So I'm hoping that by having some of these inside, we're going to have more consistent herbs through the year. But yeah, I am liking the direction that we got for this little cute setup. And I still have my poinsettias over here. Some of them died back. I am unsure if they're going to return, but if not, that's okay.